is they didn't just change their logo for the sake of it.
Right.
They approached this like a
science experiment.
A science experiment, exactly. Data-driven.
Yeah.
Which even folks outside of higher education can learn from.
I agree. Absolutely.
Okay, let's break it down.
Well done.
The article mentions that SCU is trying to navigate an evolving higher education landscape.
Okay.
What does that even mean?
So I love the data-driven part from our host, right? Because that dovetails so neatly with today's presentation. Does anybody know why I played that clip, or maybe heard the interview themselves? So I actually made that podcast myself in about 5 minutes using a tool we have here at Google called NotebookLM, which is really taking off, and I think provides an excellent opportunity for growth, both for the company and for our users.
What?
So the process. We're good?
I need to talk through that, but we'll talk. Go ahead, sorry, Carl.
So the process of making these podcasts is actually very simple. It's almost like magic. All you need is a source. In my case, it was the article from the Santa Clara website, but it could also be a chart, it could be a document, or it could even be a YouTube video. You input that into NotebookLM, and it turns it into a podcast. This particular podcast was actually 18 minutes. I think I only played 29 seconds. And this question and answer that we see on the slide comes from our in-house blog here at Google, Keyword, which is all about company highlights and updates. And as I'm going to demonstrate, the data is telling us that we are overwhelmingly tired of reading. So a little over a week ago, a presidential candidate appeared on a podcast, and the name of the podcast nor the name of the candidate is particularly salient to the point I'm making, but what is that inside of 20 hours, this show had delivered 20 million views. That's a big number, and to kind of put that into perspective, the World Series recently ended. Game 1 of World Series got 15.2 million viewers, and that was the best audience number for a World Series opener in over half a decade. The data is telling us that these numbers are only going up as it comes to podcasts. This year, there was 547 million podcast listeners worldwide. By 2027, that number is projected to grow to 652 million. So that's going to be an increase of 19%, slightly more than 19% overall in total market size. And I think this data point is really crucial to explaining why NotebookLM is such a great opportunity for Google and for our users. Currently, as it stands, there's 80,000 organizations using the free version of this tool. So that can be universities, that could be financial institutions, or technology companies. And later this year, we are going to be launching NotebookLM Business, which is a paid version of the tool with enhanced features. And again, as the data has suggested, that 80,000 figure is really just the start of this market. Thank you, guys. Toby, maybe you first.
We're talking about Jose AI. I mean, so you can. I've never heard it. Who's heard this? I've really never heard this.
So what is perfect about your reaction? Sorry to jump in there. I learned about this from the Wall Street Journal, and the article was like, NotebookLM will make a podcast and blow your mind. And it truly is one of like the rare moments when you see an AI tool that actually you're like, whoa. Yeah. Like I remember when I first was introduced to ChatGPT, and it was a similar kind of, oh, whoa, like this is a historic kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know how many people know about it, but it certainly is gaining traction, and I'm pretty surprised it's not gained more traction faster, actually.
So let me understand, you can take an article, upload it, and it turns into a podcast, like the same voices, or do you get to
take, I actually meant to mention this. So the podcasts are called Deep Dives, and it's the same two hosts. And did anybody know they were not real people, or did you think they're real people? So the only issue was, for some reason, she kind of stumbled over revolving. I don't know what she was doing there, but I actually love how much they answered.
Yeah, they were laughing. And
Yeah, that was done in 5 minutes.
Creepy how good that was.
I think we need to end the class.
Well, and I mean, but it like has a lot of like applicability to, you know, like say you have a financial management textbook you don't want to read, but you could have that turned into a 10-part podcast series.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's. Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really interesting to hear like how much more effective like the podcast is than taking like just regular old like text to speech.
Yeah.
Like if you have like your example of the textbook, I were to just get like an audiobook of the textbook and listen to it versus like what the two people talking does for like my retention. That'd be right. I don't know if that data's out yet, but that'd be really cool. Another way that this is like better than what a lot of people are doing.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
How have you used it? Seems like you're the only one who knows what it is here.
I have made a few deep dives myself. The first one was actually like kind of like next world because it was about how AI is going to maybe impact the election with like deepfakes. And so here I have these like fake AI hosts talking about how the AI is I don't know. I also like work in the podcast world, so like I don't see this as like replacing a human host necessarily so much as just like another cool tool that organizations are already using and are going to continue to use. But I also think the speech to text thing is important because I use that every day. That's how I read the newspaper. Is the Wall Street Journal reads it to me, and it's super efficient, and I actually enjoy it. Yeah.
I thought your presentation was phenomenal. I love the way that you commanded the room in the beginning and kind of just mic dropped everybody with that podcast. And your statistics slides were great, very clear, large text, so it was easily readable. My only critique for you is I think on the last slide you also had some fantastic stats, but they were really small. So increasing them at the end potentially could really help you close the presentation on a high note.
Thanks. All right, thank you guys.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna go play with it, like right now.
Well, I was first thinking, like, I'm really surprised we're doing a podcast on our rolling of our logo. Really? Why is that so bad or what? It wasn't real.
What if you just used NotebookLM to do his whole presentation? Just clicked it and just had people talking through his
Well, this is
thing.
what I'm saying, like, for the online MBA course, for this, like, there's a group presentation, so why, to your point, Tom, why couldn't they just?
Well, and I didn't mention this, but it's not integrated into YouTube, so like you can train it off of YouTube videos as well.
It was crazy.
So like I could make a NotebookLM of today's class, I guess, but I don't know why I would do that.
Why wouldn't you? I mean, Don will be there for the first hour he missed it.
He probably will be featured heavily because of all that.
He would be featured heavily. Guest appearance by Dom. Oh, Carl, I wish you went last, because now I'm my head's racing all the.
So cool.
If we're gonna change your executive presentation in 2 weeks to just do a podcast and just see what that looks like. Good job, Carl, thank you. What was the time? I don't know, yeah, I think we.
Yeah, I'll give it 20 seconds, and then from when he ended, like 3 minutes, 47 seconds.
Oh,
So right around 4.
okay, we'll just give you 4. We'll be fine.
Needed a couple takes, sorry about that.
That was fine. Okay, what's the follow, Carl?